You're live.
These are all sets. These aren't singles. God, he sent me so many of them. Which I guess there's worse things, right? So when we're painting the house and stuff, and Mom's like, you know, when this is all done, you're gonna hang pictures. Do you got a stud finder? I said, no, Mom, I've never been able to go buy one. She's like, why? And I said, because every time I go into the goddamn hardware store and I go down in front of the stud finders, they all start going off. She thought that was cute. I don't want this one tonight. We'll leave it out though, because I do love my late guys. Let some people get on. Sorry we're late, guys. We had a mandatory safety meeting that had to take place. I got my cozy little cone. Is that how it's supposed to be?
There you go.
You know what that cozy says?
Oh, sure.
It says 707-586-3375. I just say it. You got some people on?
Yeah, we got 14 people on here.
Awesome. Jake's Performance Hobbies, located in Northern California, in Rohnert Park, California. 707-586-3375 for all your RC and drag race needs. It's Jake's Performance Hobbies. See, I'm a jingle writer, man.
You're doing good. All you need is a keyboard, huh?
Just the keyboard, huh? Right? So, I think Rick's got some stuff going on. You guys want ready to dive into this? I know we're already late.
Here, you want my phone here?
Yeah, not unless I get some glasses. No, it is live. Oh, nice. You can see everything. What's up, Wade? What's up? Calvin Cruz. Oh, dude, the picture looks so much better than it used to. You know what, though? You got a lot of the bottom of the table.
I do. You want me to get all the ceiling?
Yeah, I figured if you came up a little bit, just to get the shark a little bit better. I am dead nut center, though. What's up, Mike? Mike Rail, one of my buddies I've been talking to a lot. He's a good dude. All right. I really should have my glasses.
Where are they?
I think there's plenty of light in here. There's a lot more light than there used to be. Hey, Emma. Come here for a minute, baby. Come here. Please.
Yeah.
Will you do Daddy a big favor? First say hi to everybody. Hi.
Hello.
Emma, whose car is this?
Mine.
Yeah?
I made it bumpers.
Okay, will you do me a favor? I need my glasses. Can you go find me one of my glass pairs? Thank you. Let's dive into this.
Which hand?
That one.
Good.
Yeah, I didn't want that one. Thank you. Welcome everybody to episode 15 of Shark Frenzy here with Judds RC Motorsports. As always, I have my compadre, my teammate, my friend, Rich Levac. We also have a live studio audience tonight of Rick Turner. Rick Turner's in the house. Rick Turner, actually, that's kind of weird. That, okay,
Hey, we were not going to talk about this right now.
I know that you know. I know that you know that I know. Okay. Rich was sitting number one on the list up in Lake County. Fought hard to get there. Had some mishaps with some electronics and stuff, and hustled right at the end to get it going. And Rick Turner now is number one on the list up there. So hats off to those guys. This still might be temporary, this setup. I don't know. I mean, we're just getting a feel for this place. It is, you know, coming from an 800 square foot garage it was a lot bigger than this, but it was also a lot crappier. We didn't have the lighting, we didn't have, you know, nice walls and nice stuff, and it's just, everything's brand new in here. The floor we're standing on is literally brand new. So I want to give some huge shout outs to Paul Peterson of Shark RC Bodies. Paul, if you're watching, I love you, brother. And we got the Trans Slam. We're taking pre-orders. I will be the first person in the country to receive these cars. And in the next couple shows, Judds RC Motorsports is going to be raffling off some free of no charge to the lower 48 Trans Slams to get these out there to people so people can check them out. These bodies are going to be great, I'm telling you. There's a lot of new bodies coming out, and my hat is off to some of the other companies that are making some killer molds. We wanted something that with the Trans Slam and the other one that we have not released that's coming out right about the same time. We wanted to get in a couple bodies that were full detailed, but we really wanted to home in on having that, but also having the exact perfect dimensions. Not too wide, not too narrow, will fit just about anything. And it has some alterations made to the body, some improvisions to make it more wrap around this drag racing that we do. So I'm super excited. The Trans Slam is obviously a Trans Am Mustang, a Pontiac Trans Am. Sorry, I looked over at my Mustang. So, and a lot of you guys know that I don't do GM in my family, and the new prototype car that I'm working on got one of a kind sitting here on the bench. Can't show you it right now, but that will have a Trans Slam on it. So that's going to be really cool. I'm really excited for that. I want to give a huge shout out to Steve Villanueva of R1 and R1 Wurks. Working on a lot of stuff with them, a lot of new stuff to come. Stuff that people have been waiting for is going to be coming back in stock this next week, like the drag motors and stuff like that. So just sit tight. It's hitting the industry all over. I want to give a huge shout out to Dave Enstrom at DE Racing Tires. Everything you see in front of you, all the drag cars that are all around this room are all equipped with DE Racing Tires. I want to give a huge shout out to Mr. Offenbacher with Papa Bear 3D Designs. He makes a lot of my other stuff, my trays, and there you go, Papa Bear. I think that's my little mini set of wrenches. I got all kinds of stuff up there. I got little scale remotes, and I got blowers and all kinds of stuff. So bull horns. So if you're looking for some scale stuff, like he's got a couple different blowers and hood scoops that'll go on the front of the cars, and he's got the big bull horns that stick out the sides and stuff. And so get a hold of Roy Offenbacher with 3D or Papa Bear 3D, and get yourself some scale stuff. And for the guys that do the crawlers too, and not just this, huge amount of parts that he makes for crawlers. I mean, anything from an ice chest to a fishing pole to
you have that on your Funky Monkey page, right?
I do. I have a show where we went through all of it. Yeah. So that's actually a good thing that you bring up, you guys. Hey, if you're not already on there and you come across this show, please get over to YouTube and look up Funky Monkey Judd and subscribe. We're trying to make it bigger. It's kind of plateaued at the moment. And we want to get more people on there. Once we hit a certain mark, then I want to maybe actually start going live from YouTube for the first time. So, I also want to give a huge shout out to another guy, Corey Graham of Graham 3D Printing and Graham Racing. He's got a Facebook page. You can get a hold of him. I was always a believer in the past that the bands, because I don't run a belted tire, so I don't believe, and not because the belted tires aren't good. The belted tires are great, especially I know the guys are swearing by the Buddhas and stuff. But me personally, I'll never sit a race car around something I might not be able to get a hold of. I want plushless amounts of whatever I'm running. So I run the DE Street Outlaws, and they're not belted. And I was looking for a little bit more contact patch, and for the last couple of years, the little bit of testing I did, I was like, man, these are just Band-Aids. They're not really working, And we did some testing with these Graham bands that Corey gave me, and I was really surprised. These bands do work. We went from 3/4 of an inch of contact patch on that Street Outlaw up to 1 1/4 inches. I mean, it's huge. That's all the traction my cars need to get out of the hole and go down the strip at 70 mile an hour plus pass. So I'm running these on the rear motor. I'm running these on the mid motor. And so I want to give a huge shout out to Corey Graham with Graham Racing. We've done some testing, and it just I don't know if it was the tires I was using a year and a half ago that I did the testing with bands that I had at the time, or if it's these bands, but they do work. It's not a fix. It doesn't probably give you the contact patch say a belted tire does, but if you want to stick with a non-belted tire because of its benefits, and you want a little bit more contact patch, get a hold of Corey, get you some bands in the tires. They're very affordable, and once you do spend a set of tires, even if you glue them, you can always cut them open and slip them out. Boom, they're ready to go into your next set. So, and I'm sure just like phones and everything else, these will probably wear in over time and centrifugally adjust themselves. So let's get some of these bands put away. Because I got a lot of tires to glue up there. So I wanted to kind of showcase both of these cars. They're not much special. These are rear motor cars. This is the Funky Monkey car that was put together with some help from some people as far as parts supply and stuff to get my daughter into it. And we just kicked her off the deep end. And the second weekend she ever went out, we were down in San Leandro, and she gapped the ghost with this car. So the car since then has gotten more power, more traction, longer wheelie bar, and a complete facelift. And this is Emma's Funky Monkey.
Well,
so
let's set that straight. It probably wasn't the Ghost. It was Ghost based.
I don't care what it was.
Just saying.
It was Ghost based, yeah. So anyway,
my bad.
The Funky Monkey car, you'll see this in a track near you. This is my daughter's car, and she's, I'll tell you what, we brought her oval racing last night. She's not getting the whole, but you get her on a drag strip, and she does these little tink, 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 tink little corrections, and she just knows how to drive a drag car. So I was hesitant for about a year to put her in an outlaw class, because the one time we did let her drive one, it was a catastrophe. But I can't continue doing this hobby without including my daughter, or I don't want to do it. I don't ever want to get to a point where it's like, well, my daughter wants to do this, and I want to go do this. So, grandma or mom, you go take her to do that. I'm not that dad. So we built her a full car. She wanted everything green. The A-arms, everything in this car is green, and it's a bad little bee. So, Rick, actually, I'm just going to take this car and just put it right here. This is my other rear motor car. This will be what's in here, powertrain wise is experimental. This car's extremely fast for a rear motor car, and I gave it a new facelift now that I fine-tuned it. And this car will undergo one more transformation from the chassis that's under it right now to a Jigs Performance Hobbies chassis here in the next couple weeks. But other than that, the car will stay the same because the car is just freaking dialed. So. I really like this car. I just finished it. Kind of wanted to show it off. We got the Corleones up there in plastic wrap. She's been all cleaned up, lubed up, ready to go, nutted and bolted. She's ready for her next race. And then we got this car that we can't talk about, so let's not talk about it. And then I got this new TRL or TLR, the 22. I got it over here. I did with it what I did with the DR10. I bought a DR10 strictly just for the show, to take it apart, see what makes it tick, show you guys that, for maybe some of the guys that were on the fence about buying one. And then after that, we put it back together, did a couple of tweaks to it, and we sold it. I mean, we didn't need it, we just got it, but this Team Losi car, I really like it. I like the way it sits. I have a show already on Funky Monkey Jet. Again, if you go and subscribe, you'll be able to watch that. And where we did the same thing. We bought this car just to tear it apart. But I think I'm going to hold on to this car. You got a bunch of stuff coming out. Mark Vine with the Bullet and the Bullet Experience, they got stuff coming out for this car. And I'm really, anybody who knows me knows that I come from a rear motor background, a rear motor roots, and I can make a rear motor car do some wild stuff. I got my 8-year-old's car. She's 8, and she's doing really good. So. If that car's got what it's got in it, you can imagine what this car's got in it. This car is just I mean, absolutely not balls to the wall, but balls through the wall. So if there's any children or young ladies out there watching, please excuse me. And it feels heavy right now. It's got a battery in it. That's why. That's my battery. So, you know, other than being an introduction kind of to the new place, this is all new for me. You know, I kind of been getting my feelers of what I want to do. I know that with the next couple weeks coming, we'll have some releases and stuff, and we'll have some cool, fresh, new material with new products out for you guys to see and check out. But I kind of was like, you know, what are we going to do tonight? Something that's short and sweet. Maybe we'll, you know, clear some stuff up for some people. Let me take a quick look real quick and see where we're at on this, and then we're going to rip a motor apart. What's up, Aaron? What's up, Skeeter? Rick Turner's all over this. Biggie Paul, what's up, Biggie? Corey Lively's on here. Wade. Christopher Cassell. AJ. Ramel Whitaker, what's up, buddy? And Mike Rea, we already said what's up to him. And you know what, dude? I'm watching myself give out, you know, do this right now, and that's how. Because, I mean, our last show, I mean, the whole time we did it, when I was doing it through 707, and I did, you know, started the new show, there was like a minute and a half of lag time.
How much
really
lag
bad.
is there now?
It was really, like, maybe 15 seconds. So with the Wi-Fi in the house, I bought the best, latest, greatest Wi-Fi to do the show. And not only that, the best part of all, the freaking picture is crystal clear like you're sitting there. You remember how pixelated and stuff it used to get? Yeah, it was really bad, so... what's up, Clay Kiedis? He was the winner of King of the Streets. Talked to Clay quite a bit. Calvin Cruz. So somebody's asking me, I've already made several videos of this. You can find it on YouTube. These are the most lightweight, straight, true, free-flowing, low-profile tires that you can put on a wheelie bar. I use them on all my cars. And we've actually gone to the smaller ones, the 12 scale, but these wheels work extremely well. So they don't have, I don't lose my Traxxas tires. They don't have any wobble in it. There's zero run out in them. They're completely trued. And it's for what we're doing with some of the technology in this cars. That's Traxxas wheelie bar wheel is just not of the performance, quality, and precision that it takes to launch one of these cars. So let's rip a motor apart. So I got a motor here, and somebody was asking me how do I lube my bearings in my R1 motor. Okay, some motors it's really easy to put a drip in the front and the back due to the fact that most motors or some brands have an open bearing in the front and the back, and an R1 motor does not. An R1 motor does not have an open end belt on it, so you actually have to take some parts apart to lube the bearing. So let's take one of these apart. We'll talk some rotors. This is I don't even know what's in here. This is an R135. Is it zoomed in? No, you're pretty good. Maybe zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so this is a 3.5 full-on drag build. It has a 14 millimeter rotor in it, and we're going to take it apart. And here's what I'm talking about. Even if the pinion's on here, you can still slip your oiler. Use my R1 motor ice. Let's say even if I had a pinion on here, I could still slip this in there, and you don't want to overloop this, man. You want to give this just a little baby drop right there in the groove, right here where the front of it's at. So watch the needle. You don't want to be on the inner race or the outer race. You want to be right there in the middle, and you just want to give it a little drop. That's it. And then I kind of work the motor around a little bit. Now, unfortunately, you can't do that with the other side because the R1 motor has an end cap on it. So we're going to take this. We're going to start by taking this. Let's pretend this motor's been in a car for 20 or 30 passes, and it's been on dirty street. It's got dust and dirt and all kinds of crap in it. And we want to make sure we want to do some maintenance. We want to take it apart. Well, you have to really slow yourself down and take pictures if you need to at different stages. But the shimming that's done in your motor is done there for a reason. We won't get into tonight how to shim a motor because I just want to kind of get into it for the newer guys and show them how to lube these bearings and how to maintain the motors and put them back together. And you know, I don't know if there's fancy, rotor alignment tools to help you slip the rotors back in and stuff. I just take these apart. So we're going to even take things apart that you normally wouldn't have to take apart, just so you can see everything that's in this motor. Where are we at on this thing? Right at 30.
Is there a zoom in on these? See, that's the only way to do it?
Yeah. So, if you notice, I just took these 3
Just stay where you're at. You don't have to show it.
I just took these 3 screws out on the R1 end belt, okay? And if very careful, now here's the thing you got to be careful. If this is all you're doing just to lube and the motor doesn't need a big clean, then make sure you don't bump your timing, because these right here only need to be loosened to adjust the timing. If your timing's perfect or you had somebody tune it or something like that, then you don't want to disrupt that. But I took the 3 screws out and I'm going to very carefully lift that cap off, and you see what that did? That exposed the back bearing. So now I'd be able to get in there and just put a drop of oil in there, and then I could put this right back on. So that's as easy as it is. And I turned it. It's all over the place now. First. Yeah, maybe I didn't. Actually, I told you we were taking it apart anyway, right? Yeah. So let's just take it apart. So this is the end belt cap. Okay. Now, your sensor board and everything is all loose in there now. So this timing is all off now. I'm gonna obviously have to, you can actually, as long as you remember right where your mark was, or take a close-up picture right where your mark was, you can pretty much put this back on there and set it right where it was before, and you should be able to nail it down. So as far as taking this off just to lube, it just kind of takes slowing down and really paying attention to what you're doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the cam screws. Now this motor was what the 3.5. This is a prototype motor that R1 put out. That was basically what the drag motor is if you were to buy it today. I can't remember. I'd have to look on the websites. I don't know what the drag motors are being promoted that they come with these days. But I believe it's a 13 mil. This motor actually has a 14 millimeter rotor in it. And we have some bigger ones too that may come in the future, but right now we're homing on these 14s. So I believe that this R1 3.5 came with a 13 millimeter rotor, and it's been changed out for a 14. Yeah, it's an 020084, so it's a 14 millimeter rotor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get this stubborn end cap off the front of it. I'm going to take it out. Now, when you take this apart, if you notice, I got a rotor here that's got shims on it, and I got a shim right there on the bearings. So we don't want to mess those up. We don't want to forget one or put it in the wrong place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start laying my parts out here. So here is for the front of the motor. Here's the back of the motor. These go in through the front. So I'm going to lay it out just kind of like the motor came apart. Okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these shims off of it, just so that I don't run the risk of dropping them in the motor while I'm taking it out or whatever. And what I do, some people might think this is crude, this is how I do it. This thing is really hard to get out of there. So what I do is I take the end of the rotor with my needle nose and I put my finger underneath it. and I just give it a little pry like that, and it comes out, okay? So now this backside has some shims on it too. But since we know that we took everything off the front and they're right here ready to go back on the front, we're going to take the end belt off now, and we're going to make sure that there wasn't anything else on the back of the rotor that is still stuck down to the bearing or something, kind of like this one was when we took it off. So this is your sensor board. This is your retaining ring for your sensor board. I mean, even the inside of the motors of the R1 say R1 on it. You know, his silk screening and his Steve Villanueva's machining and stuff is just second to none. This is what a sensor board looks like. This is the bearing plate, bearing sensor board plate, and you know now we're at a point to where there's nothing left. Was there something sticking out of there? No. This is what we call the actual center, the big piece of the motor. This is called the stator. The stator is what houses the copper windings, okay? And this works just the opposite of an old electric motor. That's why it's brushless. So we still have the current going through the copper wires, but we don't have to get it to the armature in the middle with brushes anymore because it's on the outside of the can, and that's called the stator. So once I'm at this point with a motor, I can take my air. I'll actually take this and I'll give it a little blow of air first, and then I'll hit it with a little bit of electric cleaner or just a tad of brake clean. And then while it's still wet, I don't wait, but while it's still wet, just to break up some of the stuff that didn't come off with the air, now I'm going to take that air again, and I'm going to really blast it. I'm going to get every little nook and cranny in this thing. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my loupe or my magnifying glass with a light, and I'm going to just kind of look around and inspect and make sure that I got no wear marks on the copper windings or anything like that that's coming undone inside of the stator. So once this is apart, hi?
Can I have something else for a treat? I finished my whoppers.
You finished your whoppers. There's a bag of gummy worms in there. If you can find them, you can eat them.
Can I have your Kit Kat too?
Why don't you start with the Kit Kat?
Okay, and then I'll go into gummies.
This kid's 8 years old, man. So anyway, where was I? Let's see what we got here so far.
Stator. Cleaning it up.
Yeah, so I don't obviously have to clean this motor. This motor is pretty much brand new. I'm gonna actually, I don't know what that is. Do me a favor, go on the top of the toolbox there to the left-hand side, and you're going to see the gold bearing, the bearing step. Yep. One of the things that I'm going to do while I'm in here, if you guys don't have one of these, I call it a bearing step. There's a bunch of different names for it, but each step on this thing kind of looks like a step drill bit. But each step on this thing is a different bearing size. So this is, pretty much any bearing. I mean, I've done X-Max stuff on this. I'm sure there's some big ones out there it won't do, but for the most part, for a precision, this is actually given to me by a close friend, Matt Kidd, who's a pro racer, and I use it all the time. And the important thing that we're going to do right now is you don't have to take the bearing out to do it, but what I can do is I can fit this thing in there until it finds where it needs to be, which is right there. And you see that bearing? That bearing is perfect. I think I scooted it in the race a little bit. That bearing, what you're feeling for is you don't want to feel, what is that off of? You don't want to feel any clunkiness or any grinding. Even if it doesn't spin very free, if you can hold this on there, and you don't feel any gritty, and it's just as smooth, and you can see the inside race and the outside race moving independently of each other, then you got a good bearing. So I'm going to do the same thing with the front of this one. I'd say that bearing's perfect. That's a ceramic bearing. It's good to go. So these are actually factory ceramic bearings that were never taken apart and blown all the grease out, and just if I'm racing on-road or something, and I want absolutely no resistance in the motor, the drivetrain, I will actually take the seals off of the bearings, I will brake clean, blast, and air blast all the packing grease that's in there for the balls, and I'll actually use a couple drops of bearing oil that I have, so there is no more grease in it. It's actually an oiled bearing. The only problem with that is when you do that to a bearing, it needs constant maintenance. So, and for drag racing, yeah, there's some things that you might benefit from having ceramics in, maybe in the on the diff or the idler gear like I run. But out at all four corners and in the motor, I've actually gone back to steel bearings. I got to the point to where I couldn't keep ceramic bearings in the motors. We're just turning too high RPM, and we're giving them too much of a jolt to the rotor when we launched the cars. That I was just destroying bearings in the motors. So I actually on a lot of my heavy hitting motors and some of my faster mid motor cars, I have steel bearings in the motor. They're just they work really good. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give all this some lube. Give this one the inside one. This is a really light oil. This can be purchased through R1. This is ceramic dope is what it's called. And it's bearing lube from R1. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, back it up a little bit. It's a little blurry. There you go.
So go on R1's website and you can find this stuff. It works extremely well. All the top racers use it and on-road and stuff. And if you're looking for a performance thing and you don't know quite what to use, but you're affiliated with another kind of RC racing, you just go to the track and ask the guys, hey, what are you using in your bearings? And you know what? That stuff is probably going to transfer over to the drag world and work really good because those guys know what they're doing. So I don't think that... I don't know, should we put this back together?
Yeah, let me see this for a second.
Watch how the bearing drops out of it. Yeah, that's what it was. It was it's the reluctor ring. That's exactly where it goes.
There you go.
Thank you, sir. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so that's the internals of one of these motors. And I don't think I lost anything. So what I actually do is I put the rotor back in and just kind of let it grab itself. If you notice, I think most motors are like this. The groove for the sensor wire right there to the sensor board is only going to go up here. This is going to be your range. So we're going to put that back in there just like that. And that right there, that's your timing adjustment. So almost like a Hall effect sensor on a real motor. That's kind of the same way that it's working. So I know that the sensor always goes at the bottom, away from. Oh, you gotta. This is what I meant at the beginning by slowing yourself down and really paying attention to this stuff. Because if you get the clocking of something off or something like that, then it's just not gonna work. So. What I actually like to do is I like to put this guy back on before I go back together. It's just a lot easier. And it takes a minute or two to get everything lined up.
You could say, hey, can you set me up a screw and a driver?
Yeah, I guess I could have said that.
How many other hands do you need? You got four.
You know, Emma, I'm going to put this motor back together, and then we're going to show everybody one more thing, and then we're done with the show, okay? I know you want to play with Daddy and his father. Oh, and hey, you know what? I'd like to dedicate this show to two things. I know that Rick recently lost his brother. What was your brother's name? Dan? Oh, good name. What was his last name? Hunter.
Lived in Texas. Looked like he was in the Adams.
Okay, well, I'd like to dedicate the show to two things today. Dan Hunter's show number 15 dedication. I'd also like to give a dedication to all the loving, hardworking fathers out there. Happy Father's Day tomorrow, you guys. We're definitely the underrated ones out there, so a lot of people don't know the sacrifices and the things we do. Where is the gummy worms?
Where?
They're in the refrigerator.
I don't wear in the refrigerator.
I don't know, baby. You're going to have to wait. If you already ate the Kit Kat, you don't need gummy worms right now.
I didn't eat the Kit Kat.
Okay. So, what I'm doing, is, I totally skipped, and I was just kind of going fast there, and there's some guys out there, I don't want them to go, wait a minute, he didn't show me that one thing. So the one thing, when I put this on here to check the end belt bearing that fell off, what this is this little thing right here. If you know, the sensor board right here has some, these are the 3 phases right here inside the motor, these little soldering marks. And we wouldn't want those to scrape and short out inside of the can or the end belt. The end belt is aluminum, and if that was to get adjusted a couple times and these solder marks scraped in this, it would short circuit the motor out and possibly take out your ESC too. So if you're taking apart a different kind of motor, if you're taking apart a Trinity or something, look for stuff like this, okay? And make sure it goes back in the motor. This is a freaking paper thin. I bet you it's probably maybe 1/1000th of an inch. I mean, there's nothing there at all. And what that does is there's a little groove, and it's probably made out of probably some kind of fiberglass material. It's definitely not paper. And it's just going to go right around the bearing housing. And what happens then is when the sensor goes in, those little things, those little solder marks that actually have a little sharp point to them, are going to ride on that and make sure that they don't short out. So I'm going to put this guy back in.
Don't forget the bearing.
Over the top of the, oh yeah, thank you. Oh, I didn't even see it fall out. And then this guy, so once that and the bearing are back in, then I'm going to put my brand new sensor board in, okay? There's your adjustment for your timing when you adjust your timing, okay? Then we're going to put the retainer, let's learn from past mistakes. So then what I'm going to do is the opening on the retainer is going to be to wrap around the terminals there for where the sensor wire comes in. So that opening, those are the 3 holes. Those are the holes they line up on. So let me, and then I'm going to hold those there with my finger, and I'm going to turn it back over, and I'm going to put the end cap back on it. And then I'm going to hold them like a little Oreo cookie, and I'm going to put that through. Really, Dan? Yeah, that might happen a couple times. And learning how to do this can be frustrating. You want to make sure you get it right, and and if you're new to this, it's you want to make sure that you're not messing anything up. And like I said, the best thing you can do is remember where everything went from, or take pictures. When I have a huge diesel engine assembly or something at work, take that 972 Peterbilt apart, and we need the engine out of it by tomorrow because it's got to go in and get the heads done. And sometimes the mechanics aren't of that gravity to do some of those tasks, and I got to come out and I got to take over. When I get to like in a major junction where there's electrical or hydraulic or something, and I've never seen that before, but I got to take it apart and I take detailed pictures. There's absolutely nothing wrong with taking pictures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start all these back in the sensor keeper that's threaded. Okay. And the reason why is because once I took that off, it threw the timing all out of whack. So I'm bringing them in till they stop and then backing out about a quarter turn. So I know my rotor has all my shims on it that need to be there. I know my sensor wire input goes at the opposite side of the motor than the soldering terminals. So I'm going to start by putting the bearing back in. I can feel it go in the bearing. Now the end belt, because the rotor's in there and it's magnetized to the stator to one side, it's not centered right now. So that I know that the bearing in this is on that rotor that's not centered. I can now, boom, I can click it back down into place. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to flip it over while holding it like a sandwich again. And I'm going to look through the stator. And if you see these 3 holes right here, that's where the long screws go into, okay? And what I'm going to do is while I'm looking down that long hole, that big rabbit hole there, I'm going to twist the end belt until I can see light, because that means that the holes are lined up. So perfect. Now if I look down, if I line one of them up, all 3 of them are lined up. I don't know if they can see that.
Yes.
Hand me a flashlight.
Just saw it.
Can you see it go all the way through with the yellow behind
Yep.
it? Okay. So now that I'm at that far, Now I'm going to put all my shims back on that came off the front, okay? Whoop, and I don't want to drop them down in the motor, so I suggest doing one at a time. Even if they're stacked up perfectly and you think you can shoot it all at once, it's always good to split them up. This motor's already been shimmed out by me. I already know right where it's at, so I'm going to just make sure everything goes back in. Some guys might be asking why don't you use Teflon? Well, Teflon has its bonuses, but it also has its drawbacks. The reason why I like the brass ones is because the brass ones, if you were to get a hard, what we call a rotor shift, for some reason, you hit a bump, car flew up, didn't hurt the motor, but it got a hard rotor shift, you can actually take those white Teflon ones and they have compression to them, they have compaction. And what you'll have is you'll have a 10 thousandth shim that now is 9 thousandths because it had a hard rotor slap. So I like to use these ones. I know they're always going to be the same. Now this piece right here, the very front of the can, this piece is symmetrical, so it doesn't matter where I hit what 3 holes, okay? Now that I know that these are back on, okay? I know that my rotor is not over to one side in the back because I have aligned the bearing and I have shoved it over to put the cap back into the stator. Now the front of it is off. I think you can see that in the shot, right? How the rotor's offset. Sure. This is where you got to use a little bit of pressure in your hands. I'm going to check one last time. All my holes are perfect. I'm going to slip the bearing onto the rotor, and at the same time that I'm doing that, I'm going to look at my screw holes and the hole down there in the stator, and boom, that thing is just lined up. Now I'm just going to drop my screw in there, okay, and just get one started. That's it. I didn't bring it into the head to touch because if you notice the cap is not on all the way because that rotor is still magnetized to one side. So now that I have that started in the other side, I know that when I use force on the front of the motor here, my end belt won't turn and lose the holes again. So boom, just like that, it snapped in, okay? Now I'm going to drop my other 2 screws in. I'm going to start really loosely. I want to make sure that, almost like anything that's got a lot of bolts on any kind of automotive industry, I want to get all the bolts started before you bring the heads in. So now that it's all started, I'm going to just bring them into the head start, or touch. Okay. They're just touching. Now I think the way you tighten, you don't want to make these over tight, and the way that you tighten these can actually affect the performance of the motor just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give a little snug, and the same thing, a little snug, and a little snug, and then I'm going to come back to the first one again, and I'm going to give it twice what I gave it the first time, twice what I gave it the first time, twice what I gave it the first time. That motor's put back together. Just like that. So now, the only thing I have left is my timing is still off because I never tightened these. I just put them together to align all the parts. So I remember where this was at. Because I took it apart, it'll still have to go on an analyzer just to make sure I am where I'm at. But these do not need to be tightened down hard. Just snug, that's it.
Once you loosen those end belt screws too, and you tighten them, your readings could be different from the first time.
Yes. So if
the pressure makes a difference. If
I have these just all snugged, and I put this on a motor analyzer, and I have a phase. So let's say the motor's at 30 degrees, and my phases are at 30 degrees, 31, and 35. One of them's out. I can actually play with these a little bit and get that a little bit closer. Anybody who's tuning with an analyzer or anything like that is going to tell you that you want those numbers to be as close as possible. As close as, I think I have one motor here right now, I shit you not, that's at like 32 degrees and the poles are 32, 32, and 32. That is a unicorn of a motor. Being off, if you had like one that was like 29, 30, and 31, and those are your numbers, they're all kind of right there. What you're looking for when you put, and it doesn't matter where the timing's at, the phases are going to be the phases. So the variation is going to change, be the same. So if you had one that was at 14 and one that was at 22 and another one that was at 15, you know the one at 22 is either, unsoldered because it gotten too hot or something happened inside of that motor. So that's always a good way if you're buying a used motor, ask to see what the phases are on an analyzer, and that'll always ensure that you have a good motor. So let's put that down and see what we got here. Thank you, Dana. Wade, Skeeter. You too, Biggie. Have a great Father's Day. You too, Clay. Somebody said I left the shim out.
That was probably before.
Under your left hand. Yeah, that must have been before. I got them all back in the motor. So, and if I did, that just goes to show when you take one of these apart, how easily something small like that can get overlooked. There's so many different bolt locations and clockings and stuff that you need to watch out when you're doing this. And if you get a motor and the thing's put back together and it feels good and this and that, and you're ready to put it on an analyzer or do the timing or whatever it is you do, and you do notice one, my suggestion would be to, if you don't know where it came from, give the motor to somebody at that point before you use it and have them re-shim the play on the rotor before you use it. Because, like I said, these things are shimmed out for a reason. This thing's like perfect, dude. Oh, I just said the F word. Oh. Emma, I need a pinch. Because I said the F word. It was low and under my breath, but I said it nonetheless.
He was bombing. I'm sure it's on video.
No, son of a nutmaker.
Ooh, I pulled the hair out.
Oh, you can have that. That's your. Okay, so let's throw this back in here. Another thing I want to talk about, real quick, then we'll let you guys go. Is something that we're going to be trying here in the next week or so. Me and Rich are going to be dragging 2 lanes, and I don't mean drag racing 2 lanes. I mean taking my parents' Kubota tractor and making 2 60-foot or 66-foot 8th mile strip out in Sebastopol. So for locals, people want to come around. I cannot have 30 or 40 people at this place. It's my parents' ranch, but I can have 10 or 15 friends. So this is, maybe this is something you want to get going in your area. And the reason why I say that is most people that have been in this a while have a drag car that they work on all the time. That's their car, and they might have another one. Maybe it's just a stock Traxxas Slash,
your old one,
or your old one, or whatever. Yeah. And this is how easy this is to do. And this is what I mean, what we're running. I think I've showed this thing off before. This was Emma's first drag car. And all this is a... Before Extreme Chassis was making carbon fiber, they were making G10, and this is Emma's old drag car. So it doesn't need to have any fancy bumpers or a body like this or whatever to run. Out here with us, I don't care if you got a 4-wheel drive, a 2-wheel drive, a 6S, 2S. You can just run what you brung. We're just coming out to have fun and to have a light and 2 strips, and it's just going to be really fun. But if you had an old drag car and you wanted to try this in your area, even if you weren't racing against other people that wanted to do it, just driving one of these in the dirt or the sand is really, really fun, guys. So what this is this is Emma's old drag car with an associated body put on it, because at the time I was wanting a sand car. Team Associated actually discontinued this car, and I found one of the bodies, so I put it on her Traxxas car. I put some big bumpers because this one was for my daughter. I used just a flat piece of anything, but this one's carbon fiber, because it's no fun if you just flip this thing over and it will flip over with this kind of traction in the dirt. And this just rides smoothly against the ground. And these paddles here, all you really need to do this is paddle tires in the front. You don't even need the ribs in the front. And this is just because this one's going to be a sand car. You can run a regular tire on it. And to show how easy it is, this is Rich Levoc's sand car. So this is an old set of sand tires that I have. I gave them to Rich and said, hey, if you got a car and you want to do this with me, take one of your cars and put these on. So this is just a drag car he wasn't using anymore, with some parts to one, right, Rich?
Oh yeah, it's
And
all
he
pieced
just
together.
scabbed it together. The Valenian system is cheap. It's easy to get. And it really, in the dirt with a 3S, it's really, really fun. It's powerful. Even on 2S, it's fun. But all he's done to this car is add a piece of plastic on the bottom for a wheelie bar. This one's called the Excalibur because it looks like a sword. It needs a little bit. We still got some rod work to do to get some of the flex out of it. But other than this rear plateau back here and the two tires in the rear, I mean, this thing's got front drag tires on it. He's going to run it like that. This thing's going to work awesome. Where's the body to it? I mean, even it doesn't matter what body you run.
This is just an old drag body I had, junkyard dog.
Yeah, this thing's going to be sweet. This thing's going to fling some freaking dirt out. So this is a really cool thing. You know, if you're doing the drag racing, you've got a bunch of cars, or you've got an old Traxxas Slash or something you're not using, buy yourself some paddle tires. You go see what one of these cars does out in the dirt and the sand. This thing's not meant to be pretty. This thing's going to get the crap beat out of it in the dirt. It's going to be dirty and grimy and muddy. I also have some other ones. You want to hand me the red one under there?
Yep.
Here's that. But yeah, Valenian is all we're running in them. I have one of them that I might put a little more power in just to see what it does. Here's another car I got a while ago. Again, this is a full-blown dune. These are both full-blown dune buggies. And you don't need something like this to go race in the dirt. All you need is these paddle tires. These rear paddle tires are pretty cool. These are from Associated. These are the tires that would have come on the kit with the blue one that I showed you I made. And I think the sticker's on it. It says it's a Associated DB, a DB10 or something like that, and it was their paddle version. But I couldn't get my hands on one. But so I bought backup tires for it and stuff when I thought I could get one. And I ended up not being able to get it, so I used the stuff on other cars. So this stuff is these tires. All these tires are Proline and Panther, and it's all readily available, and it's fairly cheap. This car is pretty cool. It's got working headlights, and it's she's just a bad to the bone, full roll cage. I mean, this has actually got a 3S castle set up in it. It's actually pretty. It's pretty astonishing what this thing will do in the sand. And the cool thing that the drag racing doesn't have that this has is 20-foot rooster tails. If you guys try this, take my advice. Don't act like a drag car and launch it while standing behind it. You don't want to stand behind this car, okay? These things hit 0 to get the hell out of here in 0 seconds flat, and the dirt is a-flying. So, which is part of the fun, but
I made that mistake.
It's not fun when it gets in your eye.
I made that mistake with this one. I did a test hit on it, and I was standing behind it with like rocks everywhere.
Let's see here. So yeah, this is something that we're going to be venturing around in our neck of the woods with. I'd love to see more of it catch on. I had this idea. I was watching some. I used to be part of 4-wheel drive clubs and stuff when I was younger, and running boggers and 40s and big blocks, and it was a lot of fun. And I just we got into this drag racing, and I was like, you know what, this thing would look really bitchin' with some mud paddles on the back of it. And we started trying it, and next thing you know, man, we're going to do it. We're going to build 2 lanes. We're going to bring the green light out there. I'm going to have a bunch of buddies out there. We'll be able to line all the trucks up and work right off our tailgates. My mom has a huge ranch with a couple acres, but she has this one field that's like 1.5 acres, and inside of the field is a 250-foot by 80-foot arena, horse arena. And so we're going to be racing inside of that, and we'll set the pits up all along the outsides, and it's going to be really fun. I'm probably going to hand out safety glasses. I don't want anybody to get anything in their eye. It's really easy to do, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, if you have some questions on what tires are running or what to use or if a car will work, I actually even have, because I have a bunch of little 10-scale buggies, and I think it's Proline makes just a 10-scale buggy tire that's a paddle. So I got an RC10, and I have a pair of tires for it that are like this. So
those are Prolines up there.
Yeah. Those are Prolines. Unfortunately, those are the ones you can't buy anymore by themselves. You have to buy them pre-mounted on Proline's wheel.
Did those come pre-mounted?
No. Those are the Proline sand paws mounted on the chrome deep dish rustler wheels. And the rustler wheels are like $2.99 for a set of rears or a set of fronts. They're super cheap. The most expensive thing you'll spend doing this, if you have an old Slash or an old Yokomo or whatever sitting around, is the tires. You know, and the tires, I think I paid $35 or $30 for them. You know, and like I said, you don't even need a sand tire in the front. You can run a buggy wheel or whatever. You know. So I think it's just a really, really cool, cheap thing to, you know, I'm always looking to expand the sport. You know, I want companies to sell stuff.
What are the rules, Dan?
Right now, the rules are have fun.
There are no rules.
I would suggest
bring a sand car out and some safety glasses.
And some safety glasses, yeah. Get yourself some mud tires and some safety glasses. You can come out and run with us. So,
2S, 3S.
whatever. You know, I'm not going to have
Whatever
some guy go, dude,
whatever.
I made this with the only parts I had, but all I had to run it was a 4S battery. Like, let's see how fast it'll go. You know, that's what it's
Whatever
about.
power, man. Whatever
It's
power
just
you can throw.
about more RC guys in a whole new area congregating and getting to, you know.
Let's see how fast we can get these things.
Yeah,
together.
absolutely. I know that Valenian system up there with the 3S, it scoots across my mom's field at probably 55 miles an hour. It's freaking fast.
Yeah.
And it's on that wheelie bar the whole time. You know.
How'd they go?
What's that?
How'd that go?
So, anyway, let's see what we got here. Thank you, Skeeter. This is my new... You want to give them a pan around? This is the new RC spot anyway in the new house. But all new benches and all new floor and all new walls and just everything's all brand new. We got the, you know, we got to have the cable with the Motor Trend TV going on all the time and.
All that didn't come with the house.
Yeah, right.
Forgot.
I want to give a huge shout out to my buddy Todd Smith. If Todd watches this, Todd helped me bring every single piece of furniture into this house single-handedly on a 100-degree day, and we almost literally. I've been on some 30-mile hikes. You know, I've done some crazy stuff in my life, and that day, a week ago, was so freaking hot, and we were so tired. On the last couple pieces, we literally almost dropped. I was done. I didn't have any more poop left in me, man. It was just one load in my race car trailer from the other house to this house, all at once, all right now. And it happened, I think we did the whole thing in about 3 hours, so it was pretty good. And then Rich
Really?
came over, yeah.
It took us longer to build these two.
Yeah, Rich came over before anything else was in the house. My priorities were straight in life, and I wanted to get my RC room going. So Rich helped me with nothing else in the house, and we stayed here until 10 o'clock at night and got these beautiful benches made. And it just it was really awesome to have friends come together. I had some really good friends. So what you're looking at there is 12 feet of prime backlit, perfectly leveled workspace.
Perfectly leveled.
Perfectly leveled.
Perfectly leveled. Like I told Dan, we got to jack up the bench to level out that sticker.
I know, that one sticker is all crooked. Is that why you zoomed in on that one sticker? You know, you can't really see it from over here, but when you stand on the side where you were when you told me, I'm like, oh my God, I put that on? Oh my God. I'm going to tell everybody, you guys heard it here. Rich LeVoc did that sticker.
Yo.
So,
where's that razor blade? I'm gonna peel
that's
that thing
tonight's
off
show, guys. Dinner wasn't ready for these guys. I made them dinner, and it wasn't ready before the show, so we haven't been able to eat. So we're going to let you guys go. Have a wonderful Father's Day. Huge shout out to Shark RC Bodies, R1 Works, Electronics, Jake's Performance Hobbies. You can reach them at 707-586-3375. Talk to Jake. Talk to Hunter, talk to Tim, talk to the guys that get you sorted out if you don't have a local hobby shop. If you do have a local hobby shop, even if it's a couple dollars more, go in, spend that money if you want to buy something anyway and support your local hobby shop. Big shout out to Papa Bear 3D and a big shout out to Corey Graham with Graham Racing Products. He does all the 3D printing for the bands and the tires. A huge shout out to Rick Turner for being here. Thank you, Rick. Is there anybody you'd like to say hi to, Rick?
My family's there. There's family in LA watching. There's family back in Texas watching. I hope you're all holding it together. This really helped me tonight. So
Good.
just remember, my brother Dan, he was a good guy. Just remember, they loved everybody.
Well, let's go have some lasagna in Dan's family. Did he like lasagna?
Oh, he could eat anything, that guy.
He liked the lasagna.
He was like Grizzly
What about
Adams.
you, Rich?
I got
I
nothing.
know it's Father's Day also this weekend for these two gentlemen.
I got nothing.
He's got nothing. Okay.
It's too hot to have anyway.
It is. We're going to let you guys go. Thank you guys for joining us for episode 15. I have a dry erase board. We're going to start brainstorming. We're going to come up with some really cool stuff to do on the show, along with all these new all the new stuff coming out from Shark and from R1 and everything else that's going on right now that I'm behind the scenes working on as we speak. So I bid you adieu. I hope everybody has a great Father's Day weekend, and God bless America.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Peace out.